Entrepreneurs are generally very passionate and sometimes maybe just too passionate. This passion sometimes does create an obsession of becoming a perfectionist. Although people might find it to be a great trait, I find that it can be very limiting. It can slow down someone's growth, someone's business, and ultimately kill it. My name is Refilwe Sebothoma. I am the founder and managing director of PBM Group. We specialize in a full range of personal protective equipment. We manufacture, resell, and distribute a full range of PPE, work at heights training solutions, confined space training, and equipment. My biggest blunder. I remember coming into the business world as a small entrepreneur, extremely excited, passionate, and of course I had a huge amount of experience from a customer service. This again created an obsession of doing things well, serving customers well, and making sure that we deliver on our promises. It looked like it was a winning formula for us because we started winning a lot of big blue chip businesses in our books. I remember we had a particular client who was in the manufacturing space who had become one of our biggest customers at the time. Everything was doing well, traction was starting to be very evident until I fell pregnant. I then of course had to go give birth and go on maternity. And that's when everything started falling apart. I remember the day that I received a very harsh call from the production manager of this specific customer at the time. He was extremely upset. I couldn't even understand what the problem was. After getting off the call with him, I called the office to try and understand what the problem was. And that's when I found out that after a long waiting for his PPE to be delivered, the team delivered the wrong PPE. It's only then at this stage I realized the biggest blunder of my life as a business person. Although I received mentorship at the very early stages of my business, I knew these things. I knew the power of systems. I understood the importance of processes, but I just never implemented them. At this time, I realized that it did indeed almost cost me my business. Well, I tried to remedy the relationship with the customer, but I guess it was too late. At this time, losing what was 30% of our revenue at the time, what a painful process to go through. I realized that I failed to build processes, I failed to build systems, and ultimately I failed to even build and empower employees and give them the responsibility that could have made sure that even in my absence, having gone on maternity leave, they were still having the ability and the capacity to continue serving our customers. The feelings of what has just happened. So I love winning. I love winning big. Some consider me an overachiever, and maybe I am. And because of that, losing has never just been part of my DNA. So if you had to ask me what my success looks like today, I think it has been truly being the privilege of being able to support my team, make sure that they grow as the business grows. And having to fire them, I think up to date, that has been one of the most painful things that I've ever had to do. What have we lost? Sure. I think as a small business which had just entered an industry which is so difficult to penetrate, industrial reputation has been quite a big thing for us. So I knew that we didn't just lose a business which accounted to almost 30% of our revenue at the time, but we also lost huge industrial reputation. I worried if the same customer would have to give feedback on our behalf, it wouldn't obviously be a good feedback. And I think for me that was our biggest loss. Above that, I had to fire employees. I remember due to frustrations and emotions, I stormed in the office and I decided to dismiss, I think, 4 people at the time. That was one of the most difficult days of my life because I've always really just pride myself in being able to hire and to empower people. And on that day, here I was having to let go of those very 4 people that I had wanted to empower. That was very painful. How did we overcome or bounce back? So I had to reflect, looked in the mirror, and started taking full responsibility. There is a saying that goes, when the church is sleeping, we wake up the pastor and not the congregation. I realized that I had every single right to take the responsibility of what had just happened. And some of the things that I started doing with immediate effect, a lot of that had knowledge that I had accumulated through mentorship through the years. I started really going back and implementing a lot of that. We started implementing process flows, we started implementing training the team, developing the team, and that enabled us to have a better communication, better understanding of responsibilities, and ultimately having the ability to hold them accountable. So we have learned 3 lessons. I have learned 3 lessons. I think the first one is it's important to have a vision, it's important to make it very clear, and it is important to then build systems, processes, and communication structures that enables every single person to be clear of that very same vision. Lesson number 2, it is important to invest in your team. Take them through training, take them through development, because ultimately they become the assets that enables you to run the business. So I think the third lesson, which is very funny for me, is that finally I had to accept that things don't always have to be done my way. As long as the result is the same, the goal is common, then it's okay for employees to derive their own ways and their own means of getting to the results. I was never bothered anymore about my way or the highway. My closing statement, I believe that growing businesses and sustainable businesses are built by people. But the reality is people have to be supported, people have to be developed, and people have to be given the capacity to be able to grow and build businesses. And systems, processes, training and development, it's one of the enablers that I have learned today. Above everything else, although I remain a perfectionist, I now realize that business is not a destination that all of us are so obsessed about. It's rather just a journey that is worth taking, celebrating all the small winnings, learning from all the small mistakes, and picking yourself up. Ultimately, we become passionate as entrepreneurs, but maybe let's also learn from our mistakes and continue to build businesses.